Bernadette Bick, and I'm here with Dana Sitko, the founder of Nutritious Personal Chef Company, and we're going to show you how to make Pico de Gallo and perfect your knife skills. First, going to take the onion, and I'm going to cut off the stem end and the very tiny bit of the root end. You still want it to stay intact so that you have it to keep the rest of your onion together while you're chopping. While I'm doing all this, Dana is going to also chop a tomato using the same method.
Yeah.
So, slicing it in half so that I can easily peel it.
And what I did right here just with the tomato is I took out that very top part and using a cone-like motion with my paring knife. Alright, so peeling that up, I just cut my tomato in half like you did with your onion. Where are you up to, Bea?
And while Dana's doing that, I'm just going to take my knife and I am going to, using the very tip of it, as small as I need to and as uniform as I need to, take it almost to the root end of it. And while I'm doing that, Dana is pretty much doing a very similar method with the tomato.
And my big thing is that I'm using a claw-like shape back on behind where I'm cutting as I cut through so that I don't cut my fingers. So I would hit my knuckles first before I hit my fingers rather than like that.
Exactly, great point. And so once it's all cut evenly from your end to the other end, now I just take it again and I turn it around so that the other end's facing and I bring it down on this way. And it really helps to start at the tip end and just bring your knife all the way down in one and as fluid a movement as you can.
So the reasoning for this too is that we want to get cuts that are as even as possible, so that our pico de gallo, that we aren't getting a big chunk of onion anywhere and then just a tiny bit somewhere else. We want everything to be as uniform as possible when we're kind of doing a salsa like this.
Oh, exactly. And even if you were doing something cooked, if everything's uniform in size and shape, then everything will cook equally.
That's true. Yep, absolutely. Oh, these are turning into nice little squares over here.
Exactly. I've got mine diced up as well.
All right.
Put them right in our bowl.
Awesome. Yeah, you only need about half an onion, right?
Yep, I think that'll be plenty.
All right. And I have a little bit of tomato that I did earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and add this in.
Perfect.
Whoop. Missed a little. No one knows.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
They'll forget when they taste the pico.
Absolutely.
And next I'm going to move on to the jalapeno. So with a smaller item that I'm cutting, I can probably move on to a paring knife, but you by no means have to. And again, I'm going to cut off the end of that. And if you don't want the membrane inside, which all the heat is, then you can just take your knife and cut through on the very outside of it. And so I'm going to cut through, so I'm just getting the very outside, and I'm going to cut it all the way. So I'm kind of working around that center.
Oh, that's a hot jalapeno.
It is.
I can smell it from here. Awesome.
And so for this, I'm going to do the julienne, and you can either do this one or this one, but since it's a nice long cut, I'm going to move to my chef's knife. And so for julienne, you're pretty much just making sticks of it. I'm going to do a pretty thin julienne, but just like I did before, I'm going to start at one end and just move down in one fluid movement, keeping them as uniform in size as possible to get my nice long strips.
And all such perfect matching size. Good job, Bernadette.
And then once I julienne and I have them all lined up together, and I can use the edge of my knife to get them perfectly lined up, then I'm going to cut them into nice and tiny cubes here. You want your jalapeno pretty small because it's, even though you're not using the membrane, it still can be pretty spicy. And like Dana said, keeping your fingers tucked under.
Out of the way.
And then you have your diced jalapeno.
Yeah. That's how to make kitchen, knife skills go wrong real fast, is cutting yourself.
Exactly.
So we want to avoid that. So what I'm doing is just going ahead. We're gonna chop some cilantro, but I'm doing a really bad job of this. I'm trying to pick off some of the leaves rather than the whole thing. So I'm not doing a great job of tearing this, so Bernadette's gonna help me out here.
An easy way to do that is if you have a whole bunch like this, if you run your knife and go like this, you can kind of shave off the
I like
leaves.
that so much better. I need a new bunch though. All right.
And so in your hand, you're left with just the branches, and then you've got your leaves right there in front of you.
That's a lot prettier than I had it going. So good job, Bernadette.
And faster.
You keep going with that. I'm gonna work on this with my slicing knife.
Okay. And you also want to use your chef knife for this because it's curved at the blade, so it's got a nice rocking motion that you can use. So with this, also keeping your fingers tucked, you bunch them up as much as possible, your herbs that you're chopping, and you just want to do it in that fluid movement.
So it almost looks like sort of the same thing that you did with the julienning at first.
It does.
And it almost looks like they're julienned.
Yes, it does, exactly. And that just helps you get that primary cut. And then once you've got some small pieces there, then you can just run through your knife with the chopping motion. Because you don't need anything too uniform with this. You just want it pretty small.
Nice. Because this is where so much great flavor comes in too, and we just want to get a little bit of it all throughout. And there are also so many great oils, like natural oils and herbs that release their flavor throughout the whole thing, and so we just want to be able to really kind of get more of that throughout the salsa, right?
Exactly. And there you have it.
Wonderful.
I'm just going to add this to all of our other beautiful ingredients.
Great. I'm going to add a little bit more tomato that we chopped earlier.
Perfect.
Do you want to go ahead? Here's a nice big lime.
Wonderful.
There we go.
I just feel like a squeeze of lime makes almost everything better.
I think all citrus does. It just really brightens everything. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. All right, give that a nice stir. And there we go. Always learning something new. So thanks for tuning in with us and showing how to simplify the healthy life in the most delicious way. Check out our next video. See you soon.